Looking like a baddie, I show up and make them stop. Wanna know my name so badly, cause I run this whole block. Flip my hair, move my head, show the world I'm royalty. Boy, yeah. Move it, groove it. They wanna know just how I do it.
Hi, hello. My good friend Cynthia, how are you?
I am fabulous.
Yes, and this is our first official podcast
I know.
of Zen and Fire.
I know. How exciting.
Yes, and what are you? Are you the Zen or the Fire?
I am the Zen. So my name is Cynthia, and I am I'm 43 and absolutely fabulous. And I am a boy mom. I'm a busy mom. I can be a stressed mom, but that's where I have to come in with my Zen, right?
You are definitely the calmer one of the two. I will give you that.
I've learned to become this way. Yes.
Well, and that's why, what was it, 2 weeks ago, I'm calling you up and I'm like, I'm about to burn this place down 100%. So I'm the fire aspect of our Zen and Fire.
Right.
Like we balance each other very well.
I think so.
I do, but I will go in head first and I'm ready to fight. Ready to flip a table like Teresa off the Housewives of New Jersey. She's flipped it. No regrets whatsoever.
And I come in as the negotiator, like,
she is.
Just all get along. Can we just talk about this?
I know. I'm like, I don't want to talk about it. I want everybody to pay. I want everybody to know I'm right. No. Yes.
I know. I tell my son whenever he gets angry, I'm like, do you need hugs? Do you need cuddles?
Really? Because I'm like, get your emotions under control. That's what I tell my kids. I'm like, figure it out. Get your emotions under control. Right? I am a little bit of a hypocrite in that way, though. Because I'm like, Mah. And then I tell the kids, get your emotions under. I do. I'm sorry. At a certain point, you need to figure out how to handle it, because in life, I mean,
I totally get that.
I need a hug too. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But my daughter, she loves to glom onto that. I need a hug, because if that's what's going to get her kind of the attention she's looking for, then she will milk it 100%. I know.
Yeah, that makes sense too.
I know. I do the same thing, so I can't. I'm like,
Our children are us, aren't they?
What is it? What is the Tinkerbell meme? It's like, I'm just like Tinkerbell. I'll die if I don't get attention and something. I forgot what it was. I don't know. I resonate with that meme 100%. So
I don't know. I've heard someone tell me once that, if you want to know the worst aspects of who you are, just look at your kids and see what qualities they picked up.
That's the thing, right? And then you look at that,
right?
And oh, that's untapped asshole right there.
Right, that is me. He is just like me. My child is just like me.
Unfiltered, raw.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
They're fantastic. One day they will be leaders. It might be a leader of a gang. But they're gonna lead. They're gonna lead 100%.
That will be Chloe. She will be the leader of the gang.
She definitely does some shady stuff, 100%. I know she got that from me.
What's the shadiest thing that she's done lately?
Listen to this. Okay. This is where the gang aspect comes into it, right? So we were cleaning her room and we were doing something. You know what she did? She has stuffies or stuffed animals, right? All over the place. She literally gutted a stuffy, took all of it out, put her contraband in there, her Pokemon cards, her candy, everything.
She is smuggling. She's a smuggler.
And then she put it back together. She kind of took the bulldog clips and put it back and then put it on there.
No way. How did you discover?
Because I was up there doing something, cleaning her room or something. And I'm like, what is this? She is. She's definitely.
Wow.
Or even, we have a code.
Clever
on
little.
the pantry, and she's always trying to look. And I'm like, no, ma'am.
Breaking and entering into the pantry.
Well, the code, right? The code you can put
Next
in.
thing you know, she'll be down there with your credit card trying to slide in between.
She made her own fake iPhone out of index cards. And she's like, look, mommy, it has Apple Pay on it, Amazon, and Target.
You are molding and shaping your little twin. I mean, she sees the 14 packages that show up to the house every single day.
I do have her trained very well. She has to pick them up and bring them in and all the things. So, she's great. She's fantastic. And then there's my son on the other side, who's the complete opposite.
Salt of the
He would
earth.
be Zen. And she would be the
Yes.
fire.
Oh,
About.
100%.
Which makes sense because I'm an Aries, so I would be a.
You are the fire.
Yeah. Yes. All right, so we need to unpack for our folks a little bit more about why we've named it Zen and Fire.
Yeah. So why don't we start with the fire aspect, right? Let's keep the fire going, literally.
It is pretty cold outside, so.
So can you tell me about the origin of the flame? Right? Like,
oh, that's a good one. So I am a former recovering people pleaser. So I grew up in a household where, you don't make a lot of, I was the youngest, I was the only girl, those types of things. I pretty much, I don't want to say raised by wolves, but like it's after the second one, you're raising yourself. So I had to figure everything out for myself. But I really wanted to make sure, like I do have mommy issues, and I want to make sure she was taking, so people pleaser. And then one day something happened, and it's like my whole world came crashing down. And it was the one time I gave to everybody so much, and when I needed to be reciprocated, nobody was there for me. So now I was like, everybody can 100% kiss my ass because you're still unhappy, I'm unhappy, so I'm gonna focus on me being happy, and you can say I'm happy. So now it's just zero fucks given.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. So wait till you see what I end up getting you for Christmas.
Is it like a Zen stone? I do have my little stones around here somewhere, right?
I don't like that.
What is this? You got this for me, and it says you did not wake up to be a weak ass bitch. But look, this is all like, this proves us right here. Shoot up and stood out, and it's still here. And coming right there.
You should.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. That is definitely you. I think that's your mantra the moment that you open your eyes and you remind yourself who you are and who you are not.
Oh my gosh, actually now it's like, hold your hats because even Satan can't stop me.
Right? Giddy up, bitches.
Let's do this. All right.
Love it.
Okay, what other question? What's your next question?
Yeah, so let me ask you this, okay? So how do you balance, right? Like, how do you balance the blaze and the breeze? Like, how have you balanced your fiery drive, right, with your need for calm and reflection in both your personal life and your business? Because I know you are definitely learning how to navigate both at this point in your life.
Well, I'm very different in both aspects of, so professionally, I don't really owe anybody any. This is money that we're talking about. So I'm not going to be rude, but I'm not going to sacrifice my business and my money and my empire for somebody's feelings, or if we're friends or anything, if I intrinsically know it's wrong. So that one I'm a little bit more cutthroat, and I have cut people out.
What did that look like? And in what situations?
Well, when people stick personally, right? So what is your term? Crabs in a barrel.
Right.
You have to pay attention for the crabs in a barrel where they want to drag you down. And sometimes, so personally, let me back up a minute. So professionally, I am a very cutthroat, to the point. I won't step on people, but I will not accommodate or tolerate anything that will sacrifice that. Now, personally, in the past, I have allowed a lot more than I should. I did not set boundaries. It's kind of that people pleaser aspect of it. Yes, I'll do that and do that and do that because I wanted to be seen as a good person. And I thought that if I did this for somebody, they would reciprocate. And that 100% is not the case. I think for females, they have told us like, oh, you need to be able to be a good mom. You need to be able to, be a good housewife and do all these things in order to cultivate a home. But that's not true.
Right.
So it's very drastic on one side or the other. So now, personally, I'm working on really setting boundaries in my personal life. That's even with the kids, it's with my husband, it's with friends. But then I'm also kind of like setting boundaries professionally. So it's just we're setting boundaries. So setting boundaries and then holding them. Those are two different things.
Right.
So
Now, how does that look professionally, right? Because you're a very successful woman in corporate America. You help, Fortune 500 companies save millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Well,
So
that's
how does
point.
how does that look when you're setting boundaries professionally?
Well, that's a great question. So I will burn myself, which I love to be busy, so it doesn't bother me. Most people can't do what I can do, and that's perfectly fine because you do the same thing. That's probably why we're so drawn to each other. However, giving them 150%, but then I have other businesses too, just like you. They need more of my time and attention because in corporate America, they don't care who you are. They'll let you go. And then by the time you're ready to own your own business and scale and be professional, like it's too late. So I'm setting a boundary with I will give them everything I have, but I'm going to make sure that I'm not overachieving too much, that I'm going to sacrifice my empire.
So you're reserving your energy to build your thing, to put the energy and the effort and the time and your thing.
Yeah.
So this is what I have also noticed, right? It's like people say that they want out of the situation that they're in,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't make the time, the attention, they don't learn the skill, they don't put the effort or prioritize the energy that it would take to change the trajectory, right? Like
But
put energy
I love
into
people like
it.
that. I 100% love people like that. I do, because now I know I don't really want to have you in my circle of close friends because you're not going to build me up. That's called being a victim, where people are constantly complaining about it, but they're not doing anything. Actually, you know what's so funny? This was years and years ago. This was another life-changing moment. Carrie, if you're out there, a life-changing moment that you did for me. I was a victim and I was complaining and bitching and moaning all the time. And she looked at me dead in my eyes, in the soles of my eyes. And she's like, Shannon, what are you going to do about it? And there's something that clicked in me.
Fucking lying.
And I'm like, okay, you're right. What am I going to do about it? And that I was like, you did not wake up to be a weak ass bitch. That right there. Like, what am I going to do about it? So having that conversation with her changed the way I thought about things. And I knew it was up to me. Nobody else is going to come and rescue me. It's me.
There you go.
See?
Okay. I like that.
Oh, thank you. Okay. What's your, look at you.
So what are your challenges, right, to fueling the fire? So
I have a challenge fueling it. I have a challenge calming it.
Calming
Like
it.
the fire. What is it? The Hulk? He's like, what's your secret? He's like, I'm always angry. Like,
Right.
there you go. I'm always angry.
So what are some of the biggest challenges and the obstacle that you face, right, because of your fiery determination? Because I know that you are, you're in it to win it, and you specifically are looking to succeed, right? In the things that you are, the new trajectory, the empire, the legacy that you're building for yourself and, your personal business.
Yeah. So for me, I used to think that I needed people to understand who I am. I wanted empathy from them, and it didn't matter who they were, but I would explain myself and like try to convince them that maybe I was right or whatever else it is. And now I'm just like, I'm not going to argue with idiots, right? Like, I'm not trying to be mean, but if you're going to sit there and say, okay, well, the sky is purple and clearly it's not, I'm not going to sit there and argue with you. I'm going to move on from that because I need my energy for that. So it's kind of like that reassurance, or it's I needed to prove myself to people, and I no longer feel the need to prove myself to people.
That's huge.
And the other side of it, and has what made me so successful, is the need to prove myself. But now need to prove myself to me, so I can build my empire, because there's certain things that I want in life, and I'm reprioritizing what is important to me in life. So with that being said, I think that the challenge is trying to prove myself to other people and doing what they think I should do. But now I'm doing what I know. And what's the worst that could happen? Okay, what are you going to fire me? That's okay. I'm self-confident in my talent. I know I'm good at this. I have multiple streams of income coming in. I'm building an empire. So,
thank you for freeing me up for the time to do this very thing for myself.
I know. And that's exactly what it is, right? So that's that. I'm not spending my time and energy. I also don't need apologies from people anymore. If you've wronged me, then fine, that's on you. One thing that I kind of goes back to this is I want people to know that they hurt me. Now I don't give a shit. You knew what you did. You knew it was wrong. And I'm moving on. I don't need closure. There's no such thing as closure. You're never going to get closure. You need to find it within yourself and move on.
So that's what I wanted to ask you, because this is what I'm hearing from you, right? Consistently. Like, I'm hearing a pattern that you used to have to, want it externally outside of yourself.
For sure.
Right. And like, we all, whether we realize this, and usually we don't, but when we don't possess the thing within us, we have to manipulate our external world to try to get someone to give that to us, right?
Well, and that's kind of like the fire. Like, I had to go through the gates of literally hell, all the traumas in my life to get here where we are. Like, you don't just wake up that way. And I know the same things happen to you. Mm-hmm. Like, the strongest people have a lot of deep-rooted traumas, and they're able to do some introspection and not be a victim, and they are tough and they're successful, and that's what it is.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. The people that have been through the fire and have transformed that fire are the ones who make it.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So even with your help, I've been spending a lot of time. So I'm going to be spending 2024. I'm very good in my business acumen and those types of things, but I'm going to be spending 2024 doing some reflection on me and growing in that way. But like, taking other people's perspectives in consideration when I do things. So for example, if instead of thinking, well, I'm right, I know I'm right, all these other things, really kind of understanding in a collaboration. I've done it with you, understanding your perspective and where you're coming from, and not so much just bulldozing and going 100 miles per hour, but taking perspective. So that way it's not like, okay, well, fuck you, I'm done, whatever, because I'll cut somebody out of my life in a heartbeat, right? Mm-hmm. But being like, okay, let's really understand if they're worth it. Not everybody's worth it. But if you truly care about somebody and they have proven themselves, then you can do that. Like, I want to understand your perspective so I can do these specific things. So I think that's important.
I think that's huge, because I think it was someone as rigid and as hardcore as Donald Trump. Like, I think he has said something in the past, like, the strongest person in the room is the most flexible.
Well, and here's the thing too, the most successful is the quietest, because they sit there and they observe. Always be careful. And we know people like this,
right?
Where they are constantly like, look at me, like, and they're always boasting about themselves. So that's not to say you don't share your accomplishments, but goodness, when they're constantly always bragging, and like, it's just exhausting. Those are the weak people in the room.
1,000%. I think it's way more powerful when someone else notices your accomplishments and decides to share, right?
That's why your circle is so important because, again, you know what I hate more than anything in the world? I hate people who are like, oh, I'm a girl's girl. If anybody ever says to you, I'm a girl's girl, they are a crab in a barrel. I've never once seen anybody.
I'm a girl's girl as long as you're not more successful than me or more confident
or
than
prettier
me,
than me
or
anything. They're like,
right.
Those 100%.
Right. Like you're supposed to be behind me.
Exactly. They're the ones that are looking for the
Puppies.
The puppies.
The lap dogs,
No,
right?
yeah. It's I'm a girl's girl, or I can't remember what the other one is, but yes, if they're saying, "Oh, I'm a girl's girl," like get rid of them. Red flag number one.
Yeah. If you get bigger than their ego, than what their ego can stand. All right. Last couple of questions. So, okay. So your fire as inspiration, right? And I can probably answer a lot of this after you. But in what ways has your fire, your passion, and your energy inspired those around you?
Oh, I have no idea. That's a good question. I don't even recognize when it's happening, but I see it happening a lot more. I think it's just because I have an intrinsic motivation. I'm not doing it for anything else. I truly have an intrinsic motivation to help people, to uplift them, but not everybody, right? Kind of going back to that victim where you see people, if somebody's working really hard, but I'm just really kind of focused on me and being who I am, unapologetically who I am.
That's so beautiful.
But coming from my background, that's really hard to do. And I actually just had I've had a lot of conversations this week. So one of the things I do is business coaching, and then I do some other coaching. And I was having a conversation, and it was with a female, and she literally said that to me. She's like, we were talking through, and we were supposed to have one topic, but we went down a rabbit hole on something else. And she's like, I remember somebody's like, hey, have you met Shannon yet? And I'm like, yes, I love her. She's such an inspiration. I think I have a girl crush on her. And I was like, okay, like we can do that 100%.
Right.
But it's just nice to be like, okay, well, how can I support you? Because she has great things about her, and she has this intrinsic motivation, and she wants to do better, and she's going through her own fire right now. She's going through her own gates of hell right now. And so I'm
God's
just
getting us all ready.
I know, I'm so proud, but I think it's just it's not a facade. It's an intrinsic motivation, and I am going to be who I am. And if you don't like it,
it's really not your problem. It's usually
that's a them problem.
Someone else's insecurities of being around your qualities, right?
Exactly. What is the one thing they're like? Oh, I love my sayings, right? I love my analogies and my sayings.
Shit
like
hashtag
shit the Shannon says. Yeah. Well, it's. Am I intimidating or are you intimidated? Because those are two very different things. If you're intimidated by me, then go off. Go off. I'm not going to change. I'm not being offensive. I'm not being loud. I'm not being boastful. Can I tell you one time? Oh gosh, I was in a company and they did something called a 360 review, and you get feedback from everybody around you.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so you get it from your employees, you get it from your coworkers, you get it like just literally 360 all around. And it's anonymous, and it's 2 questions. It's like, what does this person do really well? And what can this person work on? Which I love feedback. One of the feedbacks was when Shannon walks into a room, she commands too much attention with her presence.
Hence the words too much attention.
How am I supposed to change how I walk into a room? Am I supposed to have my head down? No.
I think that was very revealing of how much they wish they possessed that quality within themselves.
Exactly. And I'm like, that's a them issue. At the time I didn't. I spiraled a little bit. I'm like, how am I supposed to change the way I want? And then I'm like, that's a them issue, not your issue. So all right.
Well, I will say, just from observing you and being so close to you, Shannon. I mean, like, honestly, you are probably the epitome of just strength. I mean, you take no prisoners, you are no victim, and the things that I have watched you survive silently like a fucking boss.
I do. I like to like handle it silently, and
Oh.
then people get offended and they're like, "Oh, well, why didn't you reach out?" And I'm
Oh my
like,
God, you are incredible, woman. Like, no,
Mhm.
honestly, for you to be that fucking strong, to carry that shit so fucking eloquently, even though you are like falling apart. Any
She's gonna make me
normal
cry.
person, any normal person would have fallen off the face of the earth. They would not have survived, right? And
Mhm.
many dominoes would have fallen.
I know. Well, and that's going back to what I think. I love people who can't take themselves in there because it makes it easier for me to climb up. It really is. I'm not going to change who I am, but if they can't do it, then that's on them. And then I can recognize like that's not really who I need around me to build my empire. It tells so much.
Girl, let me tell you, your strength is a pillar. And I have to say that. I admire you very, very much for your strength.
Oh, now I'm gonna cry.
No,
you're gonna make my mascara. We're not doing that. All right. Are you ready for your Zen questions? And then we're gonna do
Let's do it.
All right.
Let's do it.
So you are the calming rock, right? So here's me
Right.
like, let's burn it down. What did we say on the phone call with your friend earlier today? Didn't even know the situation. Like, where are we going and what are we setting on fire? Like,
Right.
what do we have to burn to the ground?
Exactly.
So when that happens, so you have spent a lot of time and attention on building your Zen self. Like you do a lot of things. So tell me about your Zen journey and why it's so important that you spend so much time, being Zen. That's a two-parter. So part one is why is it important to you? And then, well, first of all, part one is tell me about your Zen journey. And then part two is like, why is it so important to you?
Yeah. So this is like some shit to unpack, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I grew up in a alcoholic family, right? So let me back up even before then. So at 6 weeks old, I was adopted in the Philippines. And my mother and father, my father was in the Air Force and stationed in the Philippines and adopted me at 6 weeks old. I was just a little bitty baby.
Adorable baby Cynthia.
Brand new to the world, right? And, through my infancy, right? And adolescence, my parents had a lot of problems that they chose to drink and argue their way through.
Yeah, that's what they knew.
So those were the tools that they had, right? And that's how they knew to deal with it.
Yeah.
And so, that naturally had a very heavy, heavy, heavy toll on me. I think I grew up with abandonment issues, issues of not feeling good enough, right? The example that love is very, very selfish and self-centered.
Yeah.
Right? And so I am navigating my way through life with all of these beliefs of how I think, of who I believe that I am, and how I believe that love is.
That's your perception of love.
That's what I was
the selfishness given. And then the unhealthy coping mechanisms.
1000%, all the escapism. So these were the experiences that I continued to, attract and repeat.
But what changed? Because you could have been one of those people, right? Victims, this is what I know, you're wrong, and continue down that. So something happened to make you say, I want to change. I don't want to be angry. I don't want to be bitter. I don't want to have these unhealthy coping mechanisms. I want to do better for me. I want to do better for the world. So what was it?
Yeah, so I think it started back when I was about 20 years old. And, someone had asked me this question. They were like, have you ever read this book called Conversations with God?
Mm-hmm.
And, it's, a beautifully written book that opened my mind to reality. And it helped me see life a little bit more objectively than just, from being inside the jar.
Yeah.
Right.
So when you say inside the jar, unpack that.
So being inside your jar is when you only see through the filters of your beliefs that are given to you or that you have learned to accept is truth and reality from all of your experiences in your life, all the things that you've seen around you. And then those are the things that continue to reiterate because you just continue to create those experiences over and over and over
The
again.
infinite loop of unhealthy habits.
Or just the infinite loop of all of your beliefs.
Yeah.
Right. And so you're just inside that infinite loop, which is what to me being inside your jar is. And so it was, back when I was 20, when I really started to, kind of chunk up a little bit and start looking at things from a higher level, right? It was really just like a higher viewpoint at that time. Right. And then I just started observing like, oh, okay, so this is how, things in my life were, why they were happening. Right. And what I was doing to create that, how I was actually
so you had your epiphany, your epiphany from a book. Isn't it funny how like one thing will like trigger your change in perspective?
Trajectory. Yes. Perspective is everything.
All right. Well, let's move on because I have some more questions that lead into this, right? So tell me why you think it's important to find balance in your life. So we kind of talked about it a little bit more. So there's a lot of things in your life that we have. So finding the balance of that. So we talked about your journey and your moment. So unpack a little bit more why you think it's important to have that balance of the Zen in your life.
So one thing as I've learned to become, more conscious and aware of what I am thinking, right, and what I am believing, that which contributes to the experiences that I have in life. So in that process, I've learned to become more present with myself, more present in the moment. Because all too often, I think a lot of us, our default setting is either we're in the past or we're too far in the future, right? Like I'm trying to get there. This is what I'm trying to accomplish. This is what I want to do. This is, this is, or we're like victims to our past. Like,
what do they say? You can't move forward when you're looking back.
Exactly. And it's like, you cannot become who you ultimately need to become, right? Because you're too focused, the part of your past won't let you move forward, right?
You got to break those chains.
And I think that starts with being present. So this is when I started, really doing a lot of, incorporating a lot of habits in my life that allow me to be present, like meditation. It is the art of being present in the moment and one with God.
I love that. Okay, now we're going to flip the switch because you're not just all Zen. I know. All right. So I have two questions. What is your most fire, table flipping, burn it to the ground moment that you have ever had?
You mean which one? Obviously I come from, and I'm still trying to unpack this, right? Like I'm still obviously carrying around some anger from my childhood, right? But so, I'll tell you. So just recently, like this is the thing, right? That just happened.
Mm-hmm. Is this the one I don't even have all the details on yet?
Correct.
Okay.
So I'm hanging, right? Like I'm in work mode. I'm in straight work mode.
Go mode.
Go mode, go mode, go mode. Hustle, hustle, hustle. Like, I'm coaching my agents. I'm, following up with the homework, and I'm trying to make things very effective for them, right? And I'm just sitting here, bouncing things back and forth with my other business partner, right? And my boyfriend at the time was, texting me. We had an RV, right? And we were trying to take that out and, go south for the holidays.
Yes.
Right. And apparently that the RV was not working, like it hadn't been plugged in, and he couldn't get all the jacks, and he was just so freaking frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like juggling myself back and forth, like trying to be, boss, and then still trying to be
no, ma'am.
supportive.
Do not disturb.
So I am coming up with solutions, right? The moment that I can to like be supportive and show him that, I'm here. I care. Like we can do this together. I finally show up at the house. And he is so doggone pissed off. Like I'm over here, like, coming to be like, positive. Like, let's change this. Let's turn this around. I've got your back.
You're Zen.
I am so fucking Zen. So fucking Zen. That's how we're going to get my t-shirt. So fucking Zen. Yes. Right? And so he's like, come on, we gotta go. And I'm like, oh, wow. Okay.
I would have set a boundary with him and been like, I'm sorry.
You're starting to fuck with my Zen. Right? And so then this motherfucker proceeds to slam my car door. I had nothing but great intentions the moment that I showed up. Right? Like when I first started, was on the phone. When I got there, he slams my car door. And he walks around my car, Shannon, and I saw his lips move and they uttered, "You fucking cunt." Bitch, that was my biggest table flipping, crazy, like off the wall moment. Number one, the C word is never used in my world.
I do not allow it.
That is the ugliest word. I have never even called the person that I hate the most. Like I've never even called them that.
I've never done that either. That word is so
ugly. That is so ugly. And for someone that is supposed to really love and care about you, for them to address you in that way, I am sorry. The biggest boundary in me that says I fucking deserve the best. That went totally against my beliefs. And so I let him have it. And it was nasty. And it was crazy. And I mean, I could not control myself, which I realized that I should have, that there is a part of me, right? I said I'm apparently hanging on to some anger issues that I need to investigate and figure out, like, which table did I leave that under? Like, we got to go back and figure that one out.
I know, but you need a little crazy in your life. I'm sorry.
God, well, I went
not a lot.
Batshit fucking crazy on this one because I thought I did not deserve that. It was totally out of line, and it was the most disrespectful thing that someone could have said to me. So that was my table flipping, you got me fucked up kind of moment.
You know what I've been doing? Look, that's when the Zen is coming out. When people do that stuff to me, I'm like, you will not talk to me that way. Get your stuff and get out.
Well, I should.
But typically those people, no. Because, well, first of all,
Apparently, I got some growing to do in my Zen.
yeah. And well, typically those people though, they're looking for a fight. Again, that's a them issue. They're upset and they're looking for you to come in and rescue them. Like, are you honestly telling me you couldn't handle these things by yourself, knowing where I'm at? Like, you couldn't handle this? Like, what do I need to do for you?
Mm.
Like, again, surrounding yourself with people who are drivers of change, and I don't need to micromanage. I shouldn't have to micromanage anybody.
Right. So
Mm.
partnering with someone who has not evolved, in that part of their lives is not smart on my part.
It's a crab in a barrel.
It is absolutely a crab in the barrel. So detach.
Mm-hmm.
Goodbye.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Oh, so that's where you have a little bit of fire. I have a little bit of Zen. Not much. It takes me, typically I have to put on like my Cynthia hat and I'm like, no, we're not going to do this. We're not. But sometimes when it's coming at you so fast that I'm like, you know what? I don't have fucking time for this. Or where you're constantly, you tell the person over and over again, like, please don't do this. I'll put my phone on do not disturb. It's kind of like, I don't need a justification, handle it, get your emotions under control, all of those things. This is me working on my Zen part of it. I'll just be like, do not disturb. Goodbye. And you can put it on your phone, your iPhone, where you have do not disturb, and you can block like one person, or I'll have the notification shut off for that one person. Mm-mm.
Yeah. And what this revealed to me, right, was that, at the time I wasn't, I was not practicing my meditation on a regular basis. I wasn't, in my Bible like I normally am in the morning. I wasn't spending time with God. Right. And so if I had been, in my practice and my normal practice, I probably would not.
You're not filling your own cup. He's not filling your cup. You're not filling your cup. You just got empty cups.
Yeah. And so that's why, I flipped the table because,
it's 100. It happens. It 100% happens. It really does. So, all right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
See how we're balancing each other, yin and yang.
Girl, this is why I need you in my life.
I know. Okay. Now we're gonna go into
Firestarter.
I love that movie. I haven't seen the remake, but I have to tell you, Drew Barrymore totally got the original Firestarter. 100%. 100%.
Get you a T-shirt. It's either gonna say "Let's burn this bitch to the ground" or the original Firestarter.
But sometimes you need to have those moments. Like, there's no questions asked. Like, we're burning it to the ground. Okay. So my addiction to Reddit is now going to be paying off. And I'm going to give you a scenario, and then you're going to talk about how you would handle it. And we're going to talk about how I would handle it, to be completely honest. Right? So typically, oh my gosh, I was so busy with this. Let me find out which one I want. Let's see. Okay. I love this. Am I the asshole for telling my cousin she's overstayed her welcome? So, let's go here. No. Right? I'm about a half a month ago, my older cousin, 27 female, and her boyfriend, 25 male, moved into my house because of certain circumstances. I happily accepted them into my home because me and her were always close growing up. I'm 26 years old right now, and I work part-time while she's making enough to pay all my bills and still have more than enough to spend on myself. My cousin, on the other hand, lost her job, and her boyfriend is still pulling the "I'm trying to work on my business" crap. You know, that the entrepreneur, right? For the first couple of weeks, everything was fine. It wasn't until a full month had passed and I noticed they weren't exactly the tidy type. I have OCD. I don't have OCD or anything. So I just kindly told them to start picking up behind themselves and maybe do some chores around the house since they weren't paying rent. For the next few weeks, it was nice, and they did everything I asked them to do. It wasn't until about the 2-month mark hit that I completely lost it. Fire was enacted, apparently. I went out of town for just a week to meet up with some friends for a wedding and a little time to myself. During that time, they had somehow listed my house on Airbnb, and I came back to it almost completely trashed. I, of course, yelled at everyone involved and said some very not nice things. But can you blame me? My house was very beautiful and it cost a pretty penny. The two were almost always respectful, so I never expected them to pull something like that. I called her mom and I explained everything to her, and I tried my best not to completely throw them out because I didn't want them to become homeless. I guess during the phone call, she decided to make a few of her own. I had gotten some very nice and peaceful phone calls from multiple family members, some not very nice phone calls from family members cussing me out, saying that my cousin had called them crying, saying that I was trying to throw them out for making some money. I said, if I told her you have overstayed your welcome and trying to play victim, I want you out by the morning. Ever since that, I am getting many phone calls and text and messages from my whole family and friends. So am I the asshole?
Absolutely fucking not.
All right.
So
tell me how you would handle that.
Now, I would just say, right, that the cousin is just really great at playing victim.
The
right?
OP? Oh, no,
That
the cousin, yeah.
The cousin, right? Like that's obviously where they're at in life, right? Like they got to stay with some, I mean, they're just really good at playing the victim, so that they are really great at manipulating the situation.
For sure.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So absolutely not. She would absolutely have to go. And there's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Well, here's the thing. I think people forget, like, being a good person and being a nice person are not the same thing. And people forget that. So she let this person into her house, and I would have said, how long are you staying? I would have put a time box on that bad boy. And if they said, I don't know, I would have said, you have 4 weeks or whatever it is on this date.
So you better make the most out of the time that you have here. And you know what? So many people don't set that expectation.
Oh, I learned the hard way. That's how I know. I learned the hard way for sure.
This was probably her hard way.
She is
learning that valuable lesson.
But the fact that I love this, right? Kind of going back to what we were talking about before, like she's so worried. These people are gaslighting her so much because her victim cousin only gave one side of it and was like, oh, she's throwing me out. Did you tell me you put my house on Airbnb?
Right.
Did you tell me my house was trash?
Her permission? And then she came home and the shit was all trashed.
We were just trying to make some money. Like, I get the entrepreneurial spirit, but not with other people's shit. Okay?
Yeah,
like
the expense of other people's shit. What an idiot. That cousin is a total dumbass.
Well, and then the boyfriend, right?
Yeah. Well, she chooses her partner out of,
Well, I'm not saying we've all made horrible choices in partners, so
obviously.
Well, we'll unpack those a little bit later. So
obviously,
I agree. She's not the asshole, and she needs to again set the boundary. And I wouldn't justify myself to anyone. I'd be like, this is what happened. I do in a group text too. Well, first of all, I would. I put everybody in that group text. I'd be like, I'd screen. I'd be like in a selfie. I'd be like, right.
Look at this.
I've been like, first of all, yes. So I would do that. But second of all, she is way better than me. I would have been like, get out of my house. I would have just taken all their shit. I would have opened up the door and would start just straight shucking it out there.
Right.
Unbelievable.
Like, you guys want to trash my shit? Well, why don't I make your shit look like my shit now?
Well, I wouldn't even do that, but I want you out of my house. They have no respect for her whatsoever. They have the audacity is running wild in this one. Like, where did you purchase that? Was it on sale? Was it a Black Friday sale where you purchased all your audacity? Right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, because we dang sure got it cheap. I'll say that.
Yes, but even her family is gaslighting her into thinking that she has to post on here. Am I the asshole for doing this? 100% not. No. Yeah. But she did provide an update, right? So we go through the comments, and overall, 100%, she's not the asshole. They agreed
totally
with that.
agree.
Yeah. And it says, thank you for your comments and I appreciate the feedback. I have threatened to get a lawyer, but they offered to pay for everything. So I think a non-lawful agreement can be made. But I don't
I don't
believe
even think
that.
they're gonna even pay.
They're not.
I mean, like if they can't seem to get their life together enough to have a place of their own to live, then I don't even think that they can even pay
One of the
to
comments
repair.
One of the comments they put in here, right, was like, they didn't ask first because they knew they were doing the wrong thing. They knew. Didn't care. Again, lack of respect. So, all right. All right, we have time for one more.
Okay.
I love this.
The face says it all.
I know. All right, listen. Am I the asshole for throwing a massive fit over my birthday celebration? Let's unpack this one here, right? I turned 30 today for
This is so funny. This is so you. I love it.
All right, I turned 30 today, and for weeks, my mom, who I live with, kept asking me what I wanted to do. And I said I would like a nice meal at a fancy restaurant. And she said, no, that's too expensive. Okay. I kept giving options to what I would like to do: an overnight stay at a hotel with a pool, an out of town overnight day trip, a meal at a fancy, just a restaurant, a cheap Airbnb with a pool. With pool access. She declined all of those because they were too expensive and too far, etc. Bunch of other excuses. She countered with treating the whole extended family, 20 plus people, to a cheap Chinese restaurant the day after my birthday because that's a weekend. Not even the fancy kind, a cheap, almost fast food type of restaurant. She was insistent, so hold on one second. Cheaper. Something popped up on my phone. She was insistent, so I gave in since she was paying for it, and that was my gift. Mind you, our family is a mid to upper class tax bracket, and I'm the only child, so expenses aren't a problem. On the day of my birthday, 30 years old. Anyway, so on the day of my birthday, which is today, there's literally nothing, not even a breakfast or a lunch cooked, no cards, no flowers, nothing, not even a Facebook post. She said, since we're going out tomorrow, there's no need to celebrate my birthday today. I lost my temper and I started screaming at the top of my lungs that that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to eat good food in a nice, quiet, fancy restaurant, not have a mini reunion at a cheap Chinese restaurant. The price of feeding 20 people, costs more than the price of 2 people at a fancy restaurant too. Now she's crying and calling me ungrateful. Am I the asshole? Also, we're Asian living in Asia for a cultural context.
Yeah. She sounds like a little spoiled brat. I am upper middle class. I am the only child, and expenses are not a problem.
And she's 30. She's 30 and she lives with her mom.
Oh, spoiled brat. Spoiled brat.
You know what it reminds me of? Who was it off of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory? Veruca.
Yeah.
Daddy.
Yeah. And she's hateful about it. Yeah.
No, she just
very demanding. Stomp your feet. Not good enough.
Move it, move it. Groove it, groove it.